A single moment on SmackDown may have quietly changed the entire road to WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley secured her place inside the Women's Elimination Chamber match. That much is official. But after what happened this past week, there are real questions about whether she'll actually make it to the event at all. And if she doesn't, the ripple effects could extend far beyond one premium live event. Ripley earned her chamber spot by winning a triple threat match on Raw, punching her ticket in convincing fashion. It was presented as a major step toward WrestleMania 42. The message was clear. Mommy was positioning herself for another defining moment. But then came SmackDown. Ripley stepped into the ring with Giulia in a physical, hard-hitting contest that quickly grabbed attention. The match ended in a disqualification victory for Ripley, yet that wasn't what people were talking about afterward. One specific moment went viral. Giulia stomped Ripley's face directly into the mat. It was the kind of impact that makes you instinctively wince. Fans immediately expressed concern across social media, replaying the clip and questioning whether the spot had gone too far. Ripley didn't ignore it. Shortly after the match, she shared a mirror video on Instagram revealing a visible bruise on the side of her face. It wasn't dramatic commentary. It wasn't a storyline promo. It was simply a visible sign that she had taken real damage. And that's where the speculation begins. According to the current situation, Ripley is one half of the reigning WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. There are also reports suggesting that a tag team title defense could be planned for WrestleMania 42. If that's accurate, WWE now faces a delicate balancing act. Do they risk putting Ripley inside the Elimination Chamber structure while she's already banged up? Or do they protect her for the bigger stage? The chamber match, by design, is unforgiving. The steel environment, the chain walls, the elevated platforms, is not a setting designed for someone trying to manage facial trauma or any lingering effects from a recent match. From a business perspective, protecting a top star ahead of WrestleMania has always been a priority. From a storyline perspective, though, removing Ripley at the last minute would dramatically shift the dynamic of the match. That leads us to the potential replacement. Io Sky, the former women's world champion, is still fighting for her own chamber opportunity. If she fails to secure her spot through the advertised route, it opens a creative door. It would not be unprecedented for WWE to insert a former champion into a high-stakes match under unique circumstances. In fact, that kind of move often adds legitimacy rather than taking it away. If Ripley were medically pulled, Io Sky stepping in could instantly reshape the chamber field. She brings championship pedigree. She brings in-ring credibility. And she brings a completely different strategic approach inside a structure like the chamber. But here's the key detail. Nothing has been confirmed. There has been no official announcement suggesting Ripley is injured beyond what fans have observed. There has been no confirmation that WWE plans to remove her from the match. Everything at this stage remains speculative. Still, the timing is difficult to ignore. Ripley wins her qualifying match. She then competes in a bruising encounter on SmackDown. A visible injury surfaces. WrestleMania 42 looms on the horizon. Even if the bruise is purely cosmetic, WWE has to evaluate risk versus reward. The Elimination Chamber match is not just another bout on the card. It often determines championship opportunities at WrestleMania. It carries physical danger by design, and it demands a level of durability that few matches require. If management believes Ripley is even slightly compromised, they may choose caution. And if that happens, the story instantly shifts. Imagine the reaction if Io Sky, after failing to qualify traditionally, is suddenly announced as Ripley's replacement. It would spark debate. Some would argue it's opportunistic. Others would frame it as a second chance earned by reputation. It would also create an interesting narrative layer heading toward WrestleMania. Ripley being pulled to protect the Tag Team Championship program could subtly reinforce the importance of that division. At the same time, it could leave lingering tension about unfinished business in the singles title picture. On the flip side, if Ripley competes despite the injury, that sends a different message entirely. It reinforces her toughness. It reinforces her willingness to fight through adversity, and it could become part of her long-term character arc. There's also the question of how significant the injury truly is. A visible bruise does not automatically indicate a severe issue. Wrestlers routinely work through minor injuries, especially this time of year. The difference here is visibility. Fans saw it. Ripley acknowledged it. And now, it has become part of the conversation. The road to WrestleMania is always about momentum. Ripley had momentum. She earned it on Raw. She defended her standing on SmackDown. But injuries, even minor ones, can redirect creative plans quickly. WWE has historically shown a willingness to pivot when necessary. If a performer is not at 100%, especially a top-tier name, adjustments are made. That's why this situation feels important. It's not just about one match. It's about WrestleMania positioning. It's about championship strategy. It's about protecting long-term investments while maintaining short-term excitement. And that's where Io Sky's name continues to surface. If she loses her opportunity to qualify, it would make sense for WWE to keep her visible. A former champion left off the chamber card entirely would feel noticeable. Inserting her as a replacement would maintain her relevance without derailing existing narratives. There's also the competitive element. Io Sky inside the chamber brings aerial creativity and technical unpredictability. The structure favors resilience, but it also rewards innovation. That contrast could make her presence compelling. Ultimately, the situation remains fluid. Ripley's bruise could heal quickly. She could compete without limitation. The speculation could fade as quickly as it started. Or this could become one of those quiet turning points that reshape the entire card. The next episode of Raw will likely offer subtle clues. Medical updates, commentary tone, even backstage segments can signal direction without making an official statement. For now, all we know is this. Rhea Ripley earned her place in the Elimination Chamber. She then endured a viral moment that raised legitimate concern. She acknowledged visible damage. And WrestleMania 42 is approaching fast. WWE now faces a choice. Protect one of its biggest stars for the long term, or allow her to push forward and trust that she's ready. Either path carries consequences. And if a last-minute change does happen, Io Sky stands as the most logical name to step into that spotlight. The coming days will determine whether this is simply a bruise or the beginning of a major shift on the road to WrestleMania. So let me ask you this. If WWE decides to pull Rhea Ripley from the Elimination Chamber to protect her for WrestleMania 42, would you see that as the right long-term move, or should she compete regardless of the risk?